Hello, 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 hello. We are just going to start right away. We are doing some sound design of bass sounds and perhaps a little bit of other sounds as well. We're going to do a particular process for sound design, which I like to do. I'll explain it to you here. I've drawn up a rather fancy diagram here, and I'll pull this up again if anyone when anyone new shows to the chat to kind of if we're still working on what we're working on. Hello. So, oh, I don't need to show it on camera, of course. But yeah, so our plan today is we're going to use our synths, our fancy instruments in Ableton, and the ones that we can sound design with and use filters and oscillators and whatnot. We're going to do more of that today. I'm going to try to design some alternate bass sounds to use. And we're also going to do a specific process where we take the finished bass sounds and we're going to record them out onto a separate track. So normally when you would record using a synthesizer, it would record out onto a MIDI track and would be reliant on the synth playing the note itself and making the noise. But what I'm going to do is export it to audio. I guess I should say here, export to audio. All right, that's going to export it to audio there, and as we record the synth line in, it's going to be basically following a MIDI pattern. So if I show you here what it's doing, so basically going to follow this pattern and yeah, so they're all the same as of now. This one's got a little bit of rhythm because it's like it's a more transient based bass. It's a more transient bass. And this one has a more repeating LFO pattern, so I'm calling it a wub bass. I'm going to make more versions of this, and once we record them in, and every time there's like a repetition of a note, I'll change a couple of the parameters around, or I'll change them around slightly each time with automation, so that we get a slightly different sound each time the bass kind of plays out. Because there are different positions of these of like when you make a synth, you have like all these controls, and then you can assign certain controls in like a group to what's known as a macro, and then once you change the macro, you can drastically change the characteristic of the sound. So what I'll do is set up a couple of these macros, change the sound over time, and then sort of take snapshots of a version of that bass with those parameter changes, and then I will slice that audio up into smaller chunks that each have like one transient of the bass, like one iteration, one figure, and then I'll slice them to what's known as a drum rack in Ableton. There is such a thing as a drum rack where in here, I'll just pull one up. Why don't I? So in a drum rack, of course my mouse zoom software never likes to load right away. It's loaded, but it does not like to work at the time. Wow, it's still... Oh, I turned it off. So down here we have the drum rack, and Basically, what you see here are all of the notes, all of them, the MIDI notes laid out in cells, and then inside each cell. So if I were to click around here, inside each cell you see drop an instrument or sample. This is also what you see if you were to load up a brand new MIDI track. You see drop an instrument or sample. So what I could do is record out a little bass line, and I'll do one here in a minute once I, of course, get a good sound going. I could record one out and then drag it directly onto one of these MIDI tracks, and it will create a sampler. Let me go ahead and demonstrate here with something super basic as we have now. So the process you would go through in Ableton to do this is, or to record something out to audio, is you would make a new audio track. So you go up here. You can of course look at the, if you're already an Ableton user, you're really well familiar with these things, but just trying to be as tutorialistic as possible here. So the way you would record in bass that's on a MIDI track is you would make a new audio track, go to resampling for its audio from. So each track has a source of audio, so MIDI from all ins. This is you have separate MIDI channels and yada yada yada, but it's not really that important for this lesson. So you set up audio from, you go to resampling, and don't need to worry about audio 2. That's being taken care of by these groups. Okay, so this one's in resampling, and then we also have to make sure that all of the other tracks are disabled from being record ready. So down here is the record ready button. If it's on, when you press record, that track is going to start recording. It's a similar deal in Soundtrap. If you press, that's the same button over here. Any of these tracks that you press the record ready on, this one will turn on monitoring if I turn on that record ready. I want that to happen. But yeah, it's the same deal in Soundtrap as it is here. So then you want to turn the new audio track on record ready. And now this is on resampling, and it's record ready. Resampling means anything that you hear out of the speakers right now will be recorded onto this track. So I have to be very careful about which tracks I actually want to play. So I'm going to play just this transient bass. I just want to capture this one here, 17. So I'm going to go back through and, well, I'm going to go over here, stop all the clips from happening, just play this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a version with and I'm thinking about the note situation because the drum rack is nice and all, but it doesn't really allow you to change the pitch. I guess I could use automation to change the pitch of the samplers later on. So what I'm going to do is make this all on one note. I'm going to find the best sounding note that I could use for this. So let's use F. F is like F1 usually sounds good for basses. So what we're going to do is take a sample of F1, and we're going to transpose it later on. We're going to change its pitch with a sampler rather than change its pitch with MIDI. Also, we're doing this in sort of a way that is like utilitarian, like or not utilitarian, but future proof. Like I could use this bass sound in any project in the future, and I'm going to set it up that way, so that I save it in a reasonable spot, and I can come back to it later. And we'll get there. First, I'm going to repeat this over the next measure as well. We're just going to get a nice repeating F here. Alright, gotta play the clip. And we can start to fine tune. Let's extend the note. And then you can I can start to mess with these macros. You'll see, you get slightly different sounds. But I'm going to go into this and adjust it some more because I'm not quite satisfied with the sound as it is. Especially with this parameter, I think I can just remove that one and assign it to better stuff. Let me turn up my volume. I can't really hear it that well. And I apologize if this is just a lot of repetitive kind of just hearing the same thing over and over, but that's kind of a lot of what has to be done here. So you kind of have to sort of repeat the note here and get it just right. I'm considering changing the filter. Ooh. Okay. I think I can move this wavetable position too. That might help. Also, there is a way to modulate the wavetable. So you can see it's kind of moving, but I could also make it move like this, or I could use FM, which is frequency modulation. Is basically using the second oscillator to affect the first one. Which might be a good use case for it because we have some rather basic waveforms here. So let's try this one. Ooh. I kind of like that. So what we're going to do is keep that in there, but we're going to also... So we're going to use the first macro to modulate the starting position of this, and then we're going to also use an LFO to modulate the FM so that it kind of spikes in a little bit of FM, but it doesn't sustain up there because it's kind of a sharp. It's harsh, so it would be nice if it was automated a little bit. Let's try adding LFO1. I don't want it to be that much. We'll turn it down. Sure, let's go all the way up. What if it was going up? But the reverb filter was out. I'm going to adjust these parameters a bit. I don't want this one to be as automated as it is. So, what is it being moved by? Mostly LFO4. Maybe static would be nice. That's nice. Okay. What about a little bit of delay action? Like really short delay? I need to compress this a little bit too. I'm gonna throw on a bit of compression after the fact. You get some cool effects with the delay if you set the timings really short. Like you could set. I've gone over delay in the context of like just adding it as a repeating echo like effect, and you could still do that if you turn these down to reasonable amounts, or turn these up to reasonable amounts, I guess you'd say. But if you get them really short, if you get a really short delay and there's repetitions to happen quickly, you start to get like a tone happening out of it. So I'm experimenting with that right now. It would be nice if this frequency was also automated by something. So what if this was automated by LFO4? And if I could adjust the timings a little bit, I could tune it. There we go. Okay. Ooh. I want distortion to make more of a dramatic effect as well when it comes down. Because right now it's not really doing much. I mean, it is increasing the mix. Okay, I want to be able to take out... I want to be able to take out the delay at the same time as the flanger, perhaps? Ooh. That's pretty nice, right around there. Maybe if that could change too. I mean, it already is. How about a little bit more? A little bit more automation then. So select that. I think that's... Alright. Maybe a different type of distortion. Let's do the... Oh, there's new ones. What? Stomp box? I just want to fully test this here. So, ooh, okay. Stomp box is nice. What about tape saturation? Man, that could just kind of like come in handy just in general for a lot of things. What if I automated in sine shaper? Well. That's actually quite nice. I'm gonna automate that. So what if I filtered it? I want to put it on the quicker LFO. Yeah, let's try LFO 3 instead. So it really just adds a nice stab to the beginning there. So that could be played something like... Turn on my drum pads. Get some stuff out of the way 1 second. Alright. Okay. Let's head back in here. So I can go ahead and play my I can play this if it's record ready, if it's selected. Alright. Close down this group. Okay, first thing we're noticing right away is that the levels are quite up there. So we could turn down the master volume, but I feel like that's not going to help. We need to actually put the compressor kind of like... We just need to pull down that compressor threshold. And of course the makeup gain. It's going to have to be turned up. Right. Okay. Let's get the beat going here. Whoops. Whoops. I've yet to come up with a good rhythm for this bass, but definitely something better than this. One other thing I'm going to do is extend all the notes here. Yeah. Alright, I think we got enough versions of that. Yeah, we got enough versions of this one. Okay. Let's record. So come here. Okay, that's one. Let's do another where it's faster. Okay, of course I've got to alter the MIDI because that is not going to change. The LFO in this particular bass is set to envelope mode, so it's not going to re-trigger. I need to just double up the amount of notes. Boom, 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 boom. In fact, in this one, I'm just going to alternate between 8th and 16ths. And we're going to get both varieties here. And we'll just loop. We don't need this long section. We can just loop this bit. I don't know what this is. Okay. There's all sorts of new buttons popping up in the Ableton updates that I've been missing out on. Alright, let's try this clip now. Let's make it so I can modulate more of the LFO rates. So LFO 3 and 4, I need to be able to change as well because they're changing different things. Yeah, definitely LFO 3. Oh. Tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like a little figure here. I'm going to do like a sampling of all of the subdivisions of 2 here. So I'll do 30 seconds, 16th, 8th quarter, each with a different set of parameters here. And I'm going to actually kind of program this out so that I can fine-tune it more. So what I'm going to do is take this clip that I created, and I'm going to move it into the other view, arrangement view, which is more like a soundtrap style or traditional style DAW. I'm going to take this clip, I'm going to drag it out, it's going to loop. We need to press this button so that we are in this view now. And now we have our clean sub isolated and a little loop here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the automation by pressing A here. And we now see all of our automation lanes. And we will create a automation lane for each here. So we need to do this manually because I haven't automated any of it yet. If I had recorded it in with some movements on knobs, I would be able to sort of create lanes for all of the automated parameters already. So what do we still have? We still have the LFO 3 rate seems to make the most difference. I think I'm going to just stick with modulating that one. Modulating. So then, let's mess with some settings here. So what I'm going to do is zoom out, and we're going to use, ooh, excuse me. I'm going to use Ableton's draw feature to draw in little stepped automation pieces with different rates of the LFO. So we're going to kind of just put these in randomly, but different, and now we have all our points. Okay, good, and we can go here and see now that we have a higher up is a faster LFO rate, so this will be more short staccato. Yeah, I can even bring this up any more. What we want to do though is we want to extend this one out to twice the length because I wasn't able to quite get hit where I wanted it to. Perfect. So then I can select this, drag that over, select this, drag that over, select this, and then, well, I'll select this actually and drag that back. Oops. Perfect. Oh man, I love Ableton's automation. It's so intuitive. Okay, so we have 4 different rates here. We have a really short one, a really long rate. Let's actually bring this up more. I want this to be like staccato. This one. Let's experiment with this one. So I'm just going to loop this one beginning section here by setting our loop region. That's this one I want to adjust. Okay. Oh, okay, that makes a massive difference. I kind of want to make some motion too. So what I'm going to do is create a motion in that reverb filter. So what I just changed, we'll start it down here. And I'll have it kind of pitch up like that. And then the FM could also change. So that's macro 1. I wish it named the macros as they were in Serum. That doesn't seem to make much of a difference. Yeah, it really doesn't. Let's make it... I want to make... Yeah, that's better. So I can have much greater control over the FM amount here. So I'm gonna maybe set this around 57, or maybe set it to go up to, yeah, like that. Get more aggressive over time. Okay, so that's our first measure. Then we have it sound like that. I'm going to kind of have it step around. I'll zoom in some more. Step around. Jump up and get down. I know, that's not the exact lyrics. Ah, well, that's pretty varied, you think? Let's add a smooth curve on this one, because why not? It's as easy as holding Option and dragging the curve in Ableton, as opposed to going up here in Logic and selecting the automation curve tool. It's just sort of built in, which is nice. Let's hear this one. Nice. That's pretty good. That's pretty sick. Alright. What about macro 3? What is that doing again? Distortion? You know what's happening is it's not quite, it's taking it over 8 bars to decay. So I'm not hearing that distortion transient at all, because it's no longer a transient. I'm going to maybe increase this rate just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, let's just pull both of those up. Let's maybe... What else could we do with this? We could perhaps make this repeat. Nah. What if this repeated? I might try something like that where it's a faster rate, yet it doesn't get re-triggered when the note starts, and I could do some kind of rhythm with that. That might be another version. We might do a weird LFO shape. Okay, that's going to be a whole other patch entirely. Let's just keep automating this one. Let's go this one down. I'm just going to make some kind of random changes here and there and hope that it sounds great. But we're not going to make too many changes with our rates. Whoop. Whoop. Hope that it sounds fine. Just holding down B, switching into draw mode here, and then changing the macros around and hoping for the best. So I need to be careful with macro 2 because that's our reverb filter, so maybe I'll ease this one in places. I'm gonna remove spots where it's way up. I'll sort of make like a triangle on this one. Okay. Oh, whoa. Hey, that's kind of interesting. I actually liked how it sweeped in. Whoops. Didn't mean to expand that. Cool. What if I did that, like, everywhere? That might be cool. Alright, let's listen to this whole shebang. Could be more to do. Oh, macro 4 hasn't been changed much. It hasn't been automated at all. What is that controlling the flanger? Oh yeah, let's give that a bit of change, shall we? I'm gonna actually record this one on the fly. I should have done that with the others as well. I might try that with the next sub track I create, or the next bass track I create. I'll record it with knobs, and rather than by drawing the points in. I'm gonna change macro 3 because that's not doing much. I'm changing it around, but it's just could use a different parameter. Let's try adding. What if we do a different wavetable for this here? We could do basic CJW, which is a blend. And I could modulate the wavetable position of this, which will change the characteristic of the FM. And whenever that's up, we can mess around with the second wavetable and get some interesting results. So let's try breaking that up for the first segment here. It's going to be really aggressive, but So let's loop this much. Let's make it so we can actually hear it. Meaning take out the reverb filter entirely. Also automate it less. What is it being automated by? Elvo 3, really? It doesn't appear to be. Oh, also macro 1. Let's just make it the whole range. Thinking of another effect that could perhaps enhance this. What did I do? Did I just... Oh, you know what? This is why you save snapshots. Because now I am not sure where I want to leave this. That's pretty good. I think I'll just leave it there. Maybe I'll turn it down. Oh, it kind of shows you the, Oh, awesome. They finally fixed that. I'm seeing if there's any wavetable modulations here that make a huge difference, and I'm not really seeing much. That's pretty nice. Also make this unison. That's nice. Okay. Okay, okay. How do I make it more dramatic here? I'm just gonna have to decrease the LFO speed, I guess. Yeah. Let's try something like this. Nah. What if it fades? Hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll leave it at that. That might be cool too. I'll adjust the distortion amount here. Doesn't really do much. I think I'll just kind of keep it up. Whoa. Alright, well the delay makes a huge difference. See, that's what I was looking for. Just like slight changes that just kind of... Okay, what about here? Alright, what about the next one here? Let's use one of these insert shapes this time. So I'm going to select an area, and we'll insert a shape. Wow, that didn't make much of a difference, did it? Let's try out macro 4 instead. I think that will make a bigger difference. Huh. Cool. There's a lot of shapes that you can use. Let's make it like this. Perhaps. And I'll do that on the second half of the measure instead, the first half. So there. Oh yeah. That's sick. Okay. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to try changing the filter. Instead of using a reverb filter, we'll use a comb filter. Might sound cool. Might ruin everything. I think it actually improved it. Yeah, that's nice. What else should we change? This? Yeah. Yeah, that's sick. Okay, so yeah, got some sample material there. Now, finally, we can take that and do a little bit of resampling with it. All right. So okay, that's one. Nice. Now we can go ahead and make some drastic changes to this patch. We're going to save it as a snapshot, though. So we're going to save this here as... so... SF... Bass Gritter... Transient... 1... V1. Alright. And now let's make some changes to it. Ooh. Let's try a different filter. Use a, Ooh, that's much nicer. I can even move this notch around a little bit. Nice. Without the flange, ooh, that's nice. Without the FM, oh, that's even nicer. That's a nice sound. I like that. What if I turn up the delay on it? Well, that's with the comb filter. Ooh. I'm gonna try some of these distorted combs. Oh, that's awesome. What? I'm geeking out here. I haven't actually used these filters. Like, these are a new update. Ooh. I can imagine this being automated. Yes, yes. It's sounding more like a laser every knob turn. Set it in the scale we're using. Okay, if I take... Okay, alright, I got an idea. So, this reverb filter will, instead of moving these two knobs, we'll move the comb frequency around. Of course, it has to be engaged. I don't want it to go down too low. And then the flange, I could use... Let's use the distortion knob as the distorted comb filters mix as well. I'm going to make macro 1 control the resonance. Alright, now let's put those through the same changes. See how that turns out. Well, well, hello. You've come in at a strange time. You might be asking what the heck is going on. Well, I have a plan drawn out. I'll show you. Well, here's what I am doing. I am taking some sounds from a synthesizer, particularly bass sounds. I am making a clip of them, and I'm sort of sampling the synthesizer. So I'm exporting the audio, or I'm creating like a little track here that has a bunch of automation on it and a patch, and then I am using Ableton's resampling to export it to audio, and then I'm going to slice that up into a drum kit, into a drum rack, and then be able to play and toggle between the sounds quickly, and also apply extra processing to each of the sounds if I want to inside the drum rack. And then this will ultimately be used to come up with a bass line for a trap project that I'm working on in Soundtrap over here. But we're going to use Ableton to create the bass sounds because I have external plugins that I'd like to use and show sound design for. And yeah, that's the plan. And what I've done so far is I've created one patch and I made a bunch of automation on it and I recorded it out. I'll go ahead and play it quickly here. Excuse if it's quiet. I need to normalize this. I thought there was a normalize button. Anyways, I could just boost the volume. So I've recorded so far, and then all I did, I saved that patch. I'll show you the patch it was in Serum here. So I created a patch in Serum, saved it, and what I have done is created a couple minor changes to it. So I've changed the filter shape. I changed some of the macros around to control different things, different effects, and we get an entirely different sound. And I've left the same automation on it. And I'm just going to record like a couple different versions, and then we have, you know, enough material to make a song out of, a solid bass line out of. So, what's it sound like now? Well, well, geez. Okay, so now you have a little bit of context to all these crazy sounds happening. Beautiful. Or not, depending on your taste. But I'm going to export this one out. So I'm going to use resampling. This is record ready right here, and it's ready to go. So I'm going to press record. Beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead and slice these two. Oops. To the drum rack and continue on with the process. First, I'm going to make sure that these clips are normal. I thought there was a easy way to just normalize this clip. Okay. Anyways, that's fine. We just boost. All right. Now, let's open up our transient kit here. And what we want to do is we can just drag this clip in. Just drag this whole clip into one of the cells. Let's drag it into C1. And now we have the whole clip here. Let's go ahead and, so how many slices? How many? Depends. I'm not sure how many slices I want to take yet, but we'll decide that as we go. Basically going to sift through it and find the coolest ones and keep those. So we have our second version, our first version, and we can continue on. And what I can basically do is I can save this entire drum rack right here as sort of a bass slice kit, and then I can keep that for later, and I can use it on any old project that I want to use it on. So yeah, so it's for an upcoming project, but it could be for any upcoming project. So yeah. It's a great thing about sound design is you don't necessarily have to be working on a song, a project. You can be kind of making sounds, making yourself a sample pack, and preparing that for later projects. So that way you already have the bass ready for you, or ready and designed and sitting there, so that you can just load it in as like a loop and work with it. Okay, enough talking, more slicing. So, let's start with this one. First thing is, the loop is quite... Aha! See! There's a convenient way to do it in the sampler. By the way, this is the sampler in Ableton. First thing I'm going to do is go in here and normalize volumes. Beautiful. This is what I wanted to do this whole time. So I can come in here to the second clip as well, normalize its volume, and then we can do a couple things to it. First thing we're going to do is make a couple copies. Well, actually, before I make copies, I'm going to make a smaller selection. I can also bring this up. Yes, that's better. I'm going to make a smaller selection. I'll just select this first one here. I'll make a copy of that. You'll see why in a minute. Okay, so the way I'm making copies right now, or failing to, is by holding Option and dragging to a different clip. So now they are all on their, I have 4 copies of this whole loop, but they're all limited to just this first sample here. I should really boost the volume of this, shouldn't I? One moment. Yeah, this is brought down to -11. Let me boost the volume for the stream. It might be dangerous, but I hope. Here, how about this? Instead of make, I'll just, before I make the copies, I will boost the volume of the samplers to 0 dB, because they also lower their volume to -12. And yeah, and this also lowers its volume to -12. It's -8. There, now you can actually hear it. So I can just play it like that. The only tricky thing about the drum racks is if I want to play this bass note on a separate pitch, like I wanted to create a bass line, I would have to either change the pitch of the samplers individually. So I'd have to come here and transpose this, and I'd have to automate the transposition of it to get different notes. Or I could export the entire thing as one note, and then take slices of the entire bass line and change their notes. Right, and just change the pitch of the whole thing down or up a semitone or so. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the bass line on one note, and then transpose it afterwards. Just so I can get the variation of sound first, and then the variation of pitch afterwards. You'll know what I mean. Okay, so I boosted all these to, well, it's -1. Let's get it to 0. Boosted all those to 0. Let's get 4 copies of it, and I'll find interesting slices here. So I'm using a, so I'll move the camera down to, I'm using here. So you can see I'm using a push here to control. This is the whole reason why. Okay, if I get my camera to point at it. Yeah, there we go. The whole idea is that I'll be able to play in notes like this and quickly alternate between them and make my own bass line quickly and kind of experiment. Rather than, you know, drawing it out carefully and copying and pasting samples in certain spots and taking hours to do it. I just want to set it up so that I can play it. Also, this way it saves your CPU because you're only playing back samples rather than using synthesizers, which eat your CPU like insanely. Yeah, and I'm also using the push that I just showed off. That's called the Ableton push. It works exclusively with this program, and I'm also using the knobs on it to control the start and end of the sample. So you'll notice on the screen, the start and end of the sample is moving. So I am looking here on the screen down here, and I'm selecting a sample range. So now I'm selecting the second one. They're slightly different. So what I'd like to do is for perhaps the first 8 slices, I'm going to make 4 more copies up here. In fact, it would be smarter to just make a copy of each as I progress. That way I continue down the line. That might be smarter to do. So then I'll just see, because I've already moved these sample bounds forward, so I'm going to just make a copy of that instead. Start from here, and then grab another shorter note. I want to grab the quarter note length ones only, so I want to grab that one. And add a little fade to it as well. Clean it up, you know. Same for all of these. I can add fades. I'll zoom in on it so you can see more clearly what's happening. Oops. So I can add a fade to this one at the end so that it doesn't just cut off. It's still it's obviously still going to cut off. And you'll notice that it cuts off kind of before the end of this note. This is actually because if we zoom way in, you'll see exactly why this is happening. It finds the closest, what's called zero crossing, and stops the audio there. And that is because if you stop it on anything other than 0, you'll get a small click as the audio goes from any value from other than 0 to 0, and like the instantaneous time. There is no, I guess I don't know, but it's kind of an advanced thing. But if you're wondering why it doesn't stop at the end, it's because it's to do with the sampler trying to cut off the sample at a nice spot so that it sounds good, even if you don't add a fade like I did here. But I know particularly these bass sounds that I've created have a lot of noise after them, so I'm doing fades. And that's one of the nice things about samplers, is that you can add these fades in and get these clips to be nicely situated. Like, for example, let me just go back to the very first or the effects demo I made in Soundtrap for the first like 4 weeks. And I'll show you why this is so convenient. Come on now. Loading project. Okay, so it might sound off because the CPU is kind of being taken up by Ableton, but jeez. Okay, I'm gonna turn the volume down. Sorry about that. Miraculously, everything's in time. But you'll notice on these clips, what I've done here is I've taken slices of guitar and bass, and I put them together. But you'll notice for every single clip there is a little bit of a fade in the end and the fade in the beginning that I've had to add in manually by dragging the end of these clips back and forth. Right? To add a fade here in Soundtrap, you would just drag that little white dot, adds a fade. But if you can do it so that every time you play a new note, it automatically adds a fade in and automatically shapes the clips such that they're in time and they're all lined up. And in this format, that's what the drum rack is great for. And the sampler is great for. Because you can shape it so every time you play the note, it plays an edited version of that sample. It's great. Great. It's wonderful. So we have 3 versions so far. And I mean, already with this, you've got many ideas or many options that you can go, many routes. I'm going to throw in a basic beat so that I can just try some stuff. Electric drums. That's going to be on channel 5. Okay. Let's take out this for now and take out this for now. We just want the kit. Like, and I'm gonna have many more options to choose from, and then you know, you can just play it in yourself and get a really interesting sounding bass line. And then you can even go in further and affect the samplers. Like there's the ability to reverse samples, transpose samples, which we will be doing a fair amount of. But I said already that we're gonna do the transposition step after everything is done. But what I could do in the meantime is automate the transposition of one of the notes down quickly to get sort of like a pitch drop effect, like that, you know. It could be some sort of special effect. That's just one of the things you can do with samplers. What else could you do? You could set an envelope. Okay, if I can get this back to 0, double click, sets it back to the default. All right, let's find some more slices. So I'm just gonna drag it on screen. That might be easier to do because it is quite over there. Let's get rid of the fade out. Let's put on accent and turn the volume down. Ooh, jeez. I want each one of those as its own slice. So I'm gonna take 1, 2, 3 copies of this, and then for this one I'm gonna choose a different slice. Let's do maybe, oh, where could we? That one. Another thing I want to do is I want to make each of these cut each other off so that you don't have like a bunch happening at the same time. I want it to like alternate between them rather than play them over each other. So there is a way to do that in a drum rack. It's called a choke group. So the way you would add them is you go here to the left. There's 3 buttons underneath the the drum rack here, there's the macros, which you can add some effects in, or you can assign certain controls in each of these drums to these macros. Like, let's say if you did want to set it up so that you can transpose the whole kit, you can map a certain control to a macro, boop, and then the transposition for this note becomes available as a knob here. And then you could have like everything else closed down, for example, and kind of just be somewhere else. But this transpose will always be available, so you can always move this control. So what I'm going to do is just undo that because I don't want that there. Not really sure what I would automate, but if you drag in some pre-made drum racks from other producers, there will be full sets of macros and effect chains afterwards that are controlled by this, because you can add effect chains afterwards inside the drum rack for individual hits. It's very, very flexible, and like you can use a drum rack for a lot more than just drums. Which is merely a container for other instruments, for samplers. You can think of it as that, as a box. You put a bunch of kind of tracks in, chains they call it in Ableton. Aha. How about the last one? Yeah, those are all nice. Okay, the choke group though. I got off track. Over here, there's another button that brings up the chain view. So this is another way of looking at all of the samplers that are contained in the drum rack right now. So they're all shown as a list rather than in this grid. So you could go in exactly and see all of the effect chains. And you can see here, actually, I closed this one down. So I remember earlier I closed it down and I closed it away, but it is saved on this chain. So you can go through and you can add in, let's say I wanted the, maybe I wanted this one to be affected by, oh, I don't know, a phaser. But only that one. This one, when I play this note, phaser's only over here, but not here. Very handy. But of course, I would recommend, instead of doing it that way, just printing it out as audio, as a already phased piece of audio, and then just having another slice. Because the more plugins you have, the more CPU you use, and it's best not to have too many inactive plugins or plugins just hiding in your in the effect chains and all that. Some more than others. I mean, especially reverb. You don't want to have too many reverbs in places. That's what buses are good for. Okay. Let's keep looking for more slices. How about that? How about that? How about down here? I think I already got one, right? Yeah, that was down there. That one's not very different, but I'll take it just so we have slightly different sounds. Because like let's say I wanted to play this sort of sound repetitively. I don't have to repeat this sound. I can kind of switch between. The two, right? Like that. Gives it a little bit of variation, which is nice. Okay, next. Slice. Well, 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 what's this? Let's grab this. And we'll do the same thing. We'll get these three separate. Yeah, that one's not that great. This one is, though. I like that one. What does this fourth one sound like? That's not bad. You can still hear sort of a click at the end. I should increase the fade. How about over here? Ooh. That's cool. Maybe for the last 5, I'll do like, okay, so I'll do 2 really short one or 2 really long ones. So 2 really long ones here and here. So the first long one. Okay, I need to bring the chain back up. There we go. It's going to be here. And then the second long one's going to be... how does this one sound? Oops. Ooh, sick. Yeah. That's nice. How about this one here? This one sounds like it could be interesting. How about this fourth one? They're all good. They're all good. But this one more so. I'm gonna do one more fast, like rapid one. So perhaps this one, or that one. I'm not sure. That sounds pretty good. Let's find the least impressive one out of this bunch. Alright, let's use this one as a different sample. Okay, got all my samples. Now, let's go into the chain view here, and we have to press a couple more buttons to see the choke groups. We've got to go to I/O. And now we see receive, play, and choke. And we see we now have a couple options. We can have these notes play as different notes here. So I can have this play as C3, and that would transpose each of the samplers inside. But what I'm interested in is the choke menu down here. So we have 1 to 16, and that gives us 16 groups to put all of these samples in. And when you put a sample in a choke group, any sample that plays after that's in the same group will cut off the previous one. So that's what I want to have for all the basses, for them to cut each other off, so it sounds so that we don't have overlap. So I'm going to go through all of them, and I think I can just do a nice select all, and then just do choke group 1. And now, every time I play a sample, the long ones, you'll be able to hear it for certain. They cut each other off now. And now you get, all of a sudden, you get some really crazy sounding bass for free because you just recorded in one little bit of automation. You don't have to have like crazy lines and crazy changes all over your project and all this weird MIDI stuff that you don't know what's going on. Instead, you can have a drum rack with a couple different samples that you alternate between, and all of a sudden you get much, in my opinion, you get much more interesting results that way. So if we were to bring up let me loop this a bit, and I can sort of come up with something really easy here. So and then you could just take all of these samples and you could just treat it as one instrument. So then I could just take this whole thing and throw in an auto filter after the entire drum rack and have something recorded in. I'll just do like a little mock-up of something. I don't know if this is going to be what we finish up with, but I'll just record in a small bass line for an example here. Okay. Okay, I could do a better job than that. I don't know, something like that. I'll quantize it so that it's in line. Then I can just take the whole thing, filter it down. Throw on a compressor after the whole thing to kind of even it all out. Throw on a little bit of automation with the auto filter because it's an automatic filter, so I could throw on an LFO, and then all of a sudden Oh. What else can we do? EQ, of course. We need to clean this up. Let's choose a different filter. What about Redux? This is a bit crusher. Can add a nice effect. But you might be saying, "Hey, this isn't trap. This is dubstep," and I'm gonna say, "Yeah, it's dubstep." Yeah. But it's totally not gonna end up like this. But you know, like. You know, you got lots of ideas that you can have. Another thing you can do with the push specifically is you can use what's called beat or note repeat. So I could hold down a note and I could make it play 16th notes for me. So like. I'm just holding down a key like this and I'm pressing different. And I might be able to do something like this with that. And then I could go in and be like, all right, well, this doesn't sound too good. Oops. Oh, I thought I could capture it there. But yeah, you get the idea. It's like you can have so many different things come out of just being able to replay bass samples rather than having to go in and adjust the patches, adjust the automation slightly, and all of that, that jazz, that mumbo jumbo, all the technical little tweaks and fixes there. You can avoid all of that by just creating some sort of crazy automation thing and just on one note or whatnot, and set it up so that you record it into a sampler, and that gives you a lot more options and frees up your CPU and lets you do crazy stuff like that would take you hours to program a patch in a synthesizer that would make a sound like that. But rather than go through all that trouble, just make one or two patches, make them vary a lot with some macros, and move it around a little bit. Make some crazy sounds, and don't really have a particular direction to it. You don't need to have a particular direction, because then you can go through, record out all the random stuff, and then find little gems within it. You find the little gems, and then you can put them in a kit, and you have a nice little bass line, or a nice little, the material, the makings of a nice bass line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag all of these effects inside of the drum rack. So we're going to do audio 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is drag in, we're going to use the send and return feature of the drum rack to put all of these effects inside, so that I can save this drum rack as a as something for the future. So I'm going to go ahead and drag those there. So that's going to create a chain, and then what we'll do is inside here we will set all of these to go to this this return track. That way, so nothing should have changed. All that's happened now is everything inside the drum rack is going to this chain first, and then is going out. So then what I could do is say, take down this entire drum rack, and then I can even add macros to change the amount of LFO and change the compression amount, downsample it a bit, and then throw in a whole bunch of other things and just pull up certain useful parameters out of them. Like, let's do a delay. Let's throw a delay in there. What would be the best one to use? Let's keep it simple. That's gonna be difficult. Whenever it plays a note, I can just play the clip then. Oh, did I delete it? Alright, well, let's do this instead then. Let's set the feedback of the delay and the dry wet of the delay to macros. Macro 1, macro 2. And now, whatever note we're on, we can control the feedback of the delay, and it's dry wet. But I kind of want to change the timing a bit, so we'll come back in here, unsync, or unlink them, not unsync. Yeah, I kind of want the delay to be like that, so then I can go like... Let's try a different delay plugin. I'm not satisfied. Ooh. Maybe a preset. Okay, I'm looking for something perhaps a little shorter. Okay. Glitch delay. Let's switch you out for filter delay. Okay. That's kind of cool. Well, I wasn't preparing for that one. Let's see if I can... See, here's the issue. There is no easy way to do a dry wet on this. Yeah, that's the issue there. I'd have to move all of these volumes to macro 3. So when I move this down, all these should... Yeah, okay. Oh, that works. So that could be like the extra notes. Okay, what else could we automate in here? Auto filter frequency, of course. Of course. I'll map that to macro 1. And I will map the downsampler to macro 4. The EQ I'll leave alone. So now... I could just trigger all of these effects on the fly. I'm going to put the amount of LFO on the frequency on macro 2. So this has an LFO amount, so I'm going to put that on macro 2. And I'll put the rate on macro 5. So that way I can change that wobble. Many options. But you could I could have fun with this all day. Let's make another kit, shall we? Let's make another kit. So I've set it up so that I have a wubs kit and a trans kit. I'm ending up getting some more wub-like sounds out of this transient-based kit. So I was creating more transient-like sounds with LFOs that were shaped. Here, let me go back to the patch. I haven't even touched the second audio too. I haven't touched this yet. This is still... Oh. Yeah, so I created mostly sounds that involve this sort of LFO shape. That's a rapid, like, kind of like a transient that decays quickly. Uh, with the other patch, though, I created a variation of it that has a different LFO shape. So it's called the wub bass. And I might have to go in and change it a little bit more now. But I basically took Gritter, the patch that was there, and yeah, Gritter Wobble, and I changed it to be this shape instead of the downward slope that it was before. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sort of do that again, because I'm not really... I made this the other day. I'm not kind of I'm not super satisfied with this anymore. So let's go to... Okay, I did save this, so it's fine. Let's go to Gritter Trans V1. Oh, I blew it up. Uh-oh. I have to reload the plugin. Yeah, see, check it out. That doesn't happen very often. So what was it? Wub Bass 1. Okay, I need to actually reload Serum. Wow. Give it a moment. I might need to restart Ableton here. There's a lot going on in this project. Okay, let's load that. Please don't blow up. Yes. There we go. Oof. Okay, I don't want the distortion to automate upwards like that. I want it to actually start up and then automate down. Like that. Let's mess with the FM some. Oh. I'm trying to figure out where the pitch modulation's coming from. Probably delay, eh? That was what it was. I want it to be tuned to F. That could probably move. Oh, it is already moving. By what? Oh, no, it isn't. I apologize for the silence. I'm trying to get this dialed in exactly. Okay, I'm actually going to forego the delay in this one. Omit, whatever word you wanted. Get rid of. Yeet out of here. What if this moved? Kinda sick. Kinda sick. And you can turn it on and off. Like that. Okay. Maybe if you turn... Perhaps the phase change as well? Oh, that's a pitch bend. I didn't know that. Ew, I see. This is a patch I edited, so there's some things in here that I didn't recognize off the bat. Alright, that's a good starting point. How do the macros affect it? Not happy with 2. Let's change the filter on this one. Let's go to a... I don't know, choose randomly from here. Alright, let's make LFO3 change this somehow. What's modulating cutoff? Oh, LFO4, but it's bypassed. Let's make LFO3 change it. Well, what? That's kind of sick. Wow. Oh, that's sick. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. And then, of course, I change the rate. So I gotta make several versions. I want to make one version where it goes like this. Another one where it goes like this. I'll be able to do that with the resampling. Let's move the same clip down here with the same macro automation. And let's see what we get. Since we are at the 130 mark, I want to kind of see if we can make something quickly happen here with this clip, with this So for this one, I might want to do a different style. Let's do a half note, sustained, and then I'll do quarter note and then double. Yeah, I'll have more of these. All right, that should have some. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, because I never made the parameters available to it. I didn't do that. Oh. I bet you if I do this, 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 and this, and also the rate of LFO3 and the rate of LFO4, it doesn't matter. Now, if I copy the clip over, if I copy, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna copy these notes, and then delete this clip. Copy this one again. So Option drag. Come on now, get down there. Move that there. It should have. Oh no. Okay. Darn it. I thought it would copy it with all this automation. That's fine. I could do it line by line. Macro 1, macro 2, macro 3. I want to do this so that there's some sort of similarity between the different patches, even though they are completely different. They're going to have the same automation on them. Okay. Macro 4, 3, 2, 1, LFO rate. Oh, let's move this down here. So it's the same order. I think I could just do this now. Yay! Of course, I gotta get the new notes in so that, yeah, we're not doing. Okay, I'm gonna have to redraw them. I think it overwrote my copy. Ah. We're gonna hear this version, and then we'll come back next time. We're gonna have to redo the rates for sure. There's not much good stuff in there. I'll have to make different sort of automation. In fact, what I'll even do is I'll just have, since it is a repeated figure, a repeated LFO figure, I'm not even going to bother with having different lengths of notes. It's just going to be an extended note. And then I can go in and be like, and figure something out with it. And that might even not be the patch we use, and might even not do anything with it. But next time, we'll come back. Different automation shape for this, and we'll record in a couple clips, and we'll continue with this whole process. I would like to perhaps maybe focus on more arrangement stuff coming up soon. So we'll get the sound design wrapped up quickly next stream, and we'll just get the sounds in, and we'll shift gears to making the song itself better, and getting more sections done, getting more parts done. And I didn't get the drums today because when it comes to bass, I like to get pretty in depth. I like to get pretty. I like to experiment. Because this is kind of my, I don't know, I would say not my niche, but this is, I enjoy experimenting with basses quite a lot. Because you can get some really cool stuff happening. And hopefully you take the technique today, and if you are a bass sound designer, if you're a sound designer, you've ever tried to create dubstep or trap before, hopefully this technique for making bass lines helps you out. And This is incorrect. This is incorrect. It's supposed to say Monday, as you know. Yep, that's gonna happen. We're gonna come back Monday. You can don't have to be there, but I will be here, and I will be doing music stuff. So come by if you like, and if you want to learn for free, then come see me. That was terrible, but yeah, we'll be continuing this on Monday, and it'll be fun.